And we are live. What is up, freak bitches, wherever you may be, however you may be watching? Thank you for giving us just a little bit of your time. Now it says I'm waiting for the harsh truth, like I wasn't live, but hey, I think we are now, aren't we? We are. At least it's supposed to be.
I think we're live. I can see you in your little, well, I know what mask it is, but I know what it's become. I know exactly what it is.
We are live. For some reason, YouTube was just really, really slow to react. But what's up, everybody? It's the special Halloween edition, and you guys are going to see me screwing around with my earphones a lot over the course of this episode because they will not stay on my head underneath my hat, but that's all right. We're going to work with it. We got a whole lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the spoiler discussion for Dune that we've been wanting to talk about for about a week, as well since it came out on Thursday or Friday. A little bit of an update for the Alec Baldwin thing, but I have a couple of my good friends here to talk about it all. And rejoining the show after taking a little bit of time off is the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. How are you tonight, ma'am?
I'm good. My costume is the Cloak of Invisibility from Harry Potter.
Are you actually on camera right now?
Exactly, right?
Yes.
I see what you did there. And joining me is my magical friend, the one who you should be voting for President of the United States in this next election. It is my hetero life mate, Jeremy Walner. What's going on, brother?
You already know how it is. I'd probably be a better choice. I'm just going to say that.
I think we did very, very well for our Halloween costumes this year. As you guys can tell, I am V from V for Vendetta. I figured since I already had the mask, I just went and got a really kick-ass looking hat and a cloak to go with it. And with the exception of not having as many knives as I would like to have to accentuate the costume, that's all right. I'm more of a gun person. But the glasses even work with the costume because it's got kind of like the look of that girl from the end of the movie that gets shot by the cop. You know what I'm talking about, Jeremy?
I got you.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So even the glasses managed to work.
I put mine on, but that would look kind of weird. I don't know.
And I just wish I could get them to work with this damn hat because there's not enough room for everything. But you know what? I'm gonna go with it. Anyway, a couple of things real quick before we get started. I do want to say thanks to Six for dropping about dropping a few bucks on the gaming stream I did the other night just out of nowhere. Thanks a lot for supporting the channel like that. We really do appreciate it. And as that thing finally comes up, let me get out of studio mode, it'll be a little quicker. And also, thanks to Penny the Pooh, who just about an hour ago subscribed to the channel. I already thought that Penny was a subscriber, but you know what? Whatever. We're glad to have you. Remember, we're on our way. I really want to try to get to 300 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you guys could just like and share the stream, get it out for us, we'd really appreciate it. But let's get to the very first story of the day. And Lady Cora, what exactly is that?
Well, guys, there's a few things to talk about right off the top. First off, Chris Evans is going to Infinity and Beyond as the first teaser for Lightyear dropped yesterday. Captain America himself is voicing Buzz Lightyear in Pixar's upcoming origin story for everyone's favorite Toy Story character, aptly titled Lightyear. Pixar released the first trailer for the animated family-friendly sci-fi movie on Good Morning America on Wednesday. Jeremy, are you excited to see Lightyear? I know your girlfriend probably is because she loves Disney movies.
Yeah, so we talked about that. And I still am weirdly on the fence, kind of mixed feelings. She's the same way. I think I literally brought it up on YouTube and I was like, hey, I got something to show you. I brought it, she went, no. I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, we're doing this. I'm like, see, I'm kind of apprehensive as well. My only thing is I know people are tearing it apart right now, but these are all fucking zygotes that have never actually seen Toy Story, for one thing. Probably weren't even born, weren't even a twinkle in their mom's eye at that point. Also, I'm like, you all forget the thing that I'm not going to diss it for is I'm like, well, this isn't, you guys got to realize this isn't the toy. The toy is based off of what the actual Space Ranger is.
Right.
So I think people are getting tripped up like, oh, it's not the toy. It's like, what is this? Why is it? It's not Tim Allen. It's Captain America. Who cares about that? I'm like, no, you guys realize he's a toy based off of an actual, assumingly, yes, he's an actual Space Ranger. That's the point. I'm like, and you all forget there was an animated, I think a movie, I think they made a short series out of it too, back in like the early 2000s, which was literally this. It was just actually Buzz as a Space Ranger, and there was a couple other within Star Command that he kind of formed a little group with. So I'm like, this is just kind of an updated version of that. So I'm gonna see it. I'm excited, but I'm just kind of like, I mean, do we have to do this? I'm gonna do this pose a lot because I mean Loki does that shit. I'm just like,
I think Tim Allen did such a great job. Why the hell are they switching it up to somebody else? That's what I don't understand.
yeah, because again, some little zygote who's like, who the fuck Tim Allen? Captain America, woo!
I guess
Avengers.
if it's supposed to be the human version, it's going to be a different voice. So I guess we're supposed to not have the exact voice, but
I guess. But I mean, I think Tim Allen still voiced him in that like animated one I mentioned. I think it was still him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, however, I guess why is Star-Lord fucking Super Mario? Like, these are the questions. You know what I mean? Fucking Star-Lord is now Super Mario, and Captain America is now Buzz Lightyear. What is going on in this goddamn world?
Mm-hmm.
Vote Loki for president.
No, I think it makes sense to me. I mean, you've got. I mean, you're looking at a younger version of this character. It's not gonna be the Buzz Lightyear that we've always seen. It's gonna be this supposedly real version of him, not the toy version. So I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, for one, you've already got an active relationship with Chris Evans anyway. He's already in talks to come back into the MCU somehow, however that's going to present itself at some point in the future. Why not? I mean, it's not like he's actually doing a live-action rendition of the character, so let whoever voice it. I don't think it really matters. I think it's probably going to be fun. It's nice to explore parts of these like universes without actually going back and doing a sequel. Because I've heard people say over the years, wouldn't it be cool if Disney actually made like a cartoon version of the Woody show or whatever he had looked at in
Woody's Roundup.
Woody's Roundup. Do a real Woody's Roundup that
that'd be cool.
It's a show that lasts for about 20 minutes. You put it on, Disney Plus or Disney Channel or whatever, like the Saturday morning cartoons, and make it a fun, goofy thing. Why not do that? It's a fun way to kind of explore the mythology of the character without having to make, Toy Story 5, 6, 7, and 12. You know what I mean?
Well, someone also said, what if this is an actual, like, what if he crash lands on Earth in the fucking Wild West and some guy comes rolling up on him and it's fucking Woody? I'm like, do it. You won't. You cowards. You won't fucking do it. It's
called Cowboys and Aliens, and that movie was fucking terrible.
Yeah, you can't
put... I liked that movie. I liked it.
It was... I was like, yep, that's what happened. There was Cowboys and there was aliens. I couldn't tell you what the fuck else happened. There was Han Solo and James Bond running around, and I was still confused. I don't fucking know. I don't know why. I'm sorry, I had to sidetrack. I don't know why everyone's freaking out. Like, oh my god, he has hair. I'm like, are you guys? Have you never seen a spacesuit? That's what that shit is around his head. He's not bald. That's not. I don't know why everyone's like, oh my god, he has hair. I'm like, no shit, he does. Yeah, that's a fucking suit. They put that shit around you, and then they put the helmet over top of you. Hello? Fucking kids today, I swear.
Yeah, but I'm
It'll be interesting.
I'm down for it. Do whatever. I mean, it's obviously going to be geared more towards the kids anyway. So it's not like it's going to be for us. So who really cares?
It'd be cool if they did kind of like a Shrek version of it, though. You know what I'm saying? Like with adult humor.
I feel like they would know to like Frank said, I'm sure it's for kids, but I'm like, yeah, but you got to realize people who go to see this, like this movie came out in what, 94?
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, for kids then, I'm like, well, they're probably around my age. They're adults now. I'm like, you got to gear something towards it for them because it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is someone I remember from, my childhood. So it's trying to make a new thing for the kids, but also like, hey, there's adults that probably have their own kids that are like, hey, let's check this out. They've probably shown them Toy Story. I don't know.
I'd hope they had. Toy Story is one of those that is pretty safe. You're not going to offend anybody with their family lifestyles with Toy Story. It's a pretty generic, movie culturally speaking, and it's a great movie. I'm not a kids movie person anymore these days. But I fucking love Toy Story. I love Slinky so much I got a dachshund, for fuck's sake. I mean, what can I say? And I love, it's just, there's something heartwarming. This Toy Story reminded me of a modern twist of the animated movie, The Brave Little Toaster, which I just love that movie. Oh yeah.
Movie's
Yeah, that one's
horrifying.
So you are into kids' movies, is what you're saying.
No, there's a few. There's like a few I like. And so if they're gonna do anything with the Toy Story, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I'll watch it, but I wouldn't pay to see it in the theaters like I'd watch it on Disney Plus when it comes out. I don't know. Would you go see it in the theater, Frank?
Well, I have kids who would probably want to see it. I mean, even though all my kids are into their teens, I think at least my two youngest might want to go just for shits and giggles. But I do have a 2 or 3 year old nephew who would probably get a kick out of it, and he hasn't been to a real theater yet for a real theater experience. So maybe this is the kind of thing that would be good for him. But I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go take a couple hours out of my day just to go watch it on my own, like I would.
That's what I was.
Or an MCU movie or something like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it could be fun. I mean, if I want to go spend a couple hours at the theater with the kids and watch something that's going to be kind of fun for all of us, yeah, I could do this. A lot of it's going to depend on when it comes out too. I mean, they're going to try to counter program it against one of the bigger movies that's coming out. So if there's like an MCU movie coming out, are they going to try to release it against that? I mean, a lot of it's going to depend on when it comes out, but it'll do well.
Seems like. Yeah, if Disney was smart, I think they would hang on to this and stick it in a time frame when they don't have something else. They want to stay on the map,
Yeah, I don't have the exact release schedule for Disney in front of me or for anything in front of me, but I mean, there's probably a couple places. And remember, they did just move a lot of their stuff from 2022. Some of that stuff moved back to a couple of months. Some of it moved back to almost a year. So it's
Nice.
not like Disney doesn't have places where they could put this movie, because it looks like it's about done. I mean, if they've already got a teaser coming out, it looks like it could hit theaters sometime in like February or March before they start hitting the big summer movie season. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be. Overall, I'm like, whatever. I mean, like I said, I'll take my nephew to go see it, but it's not going to be one of the big Disney releases that's going to interest me all that much, But what else we got going on, Miss Cora?
Well, you mentioned the MCU. In MCU news, Bill Murray let it slip that he has shot scenes for the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. In an interview with German newspaper Faz, Murray was quoted saying, quote, "I made a Marvel movie recently. I'm probably not allowed to tell you, but whatever." Very Murray style.
Very
He
Bill
said,
Murray style.
according to translation, according to the translations of the interview, quote, "Anyway, some people were pretty surprised why I decided on a project like this, of all things. But for me, the situation was completely clear. I got to know the director, who is Peyton Reed, by the way, and really liked him. He was witty, humble, and everything you want from a director. And with the cheerleader movie, Bring It On, he had already made a film years ago, which I think is damn good. By the way, Bring It On, fantastic movie. Frank, what do you think of Bill Murray joining the MCU? I think it's fantastic.
I'm going to upset a couple of people by saying this, but I'm just going to give it to you guys honestly what I think. He's not exactly joining the MCU. This is going to be a glorified cameo. That's probably what it's going to be. He's going to be some small guy in the background. Imagine something like what Stan Lee had been doing for so many years before he passed away, but probably not just one scene. He's probably going to pop up a couple times, and that's it. He's not joining the MCU for a couple reasons. Number one, the MCU likes to sign people to multi-film deals, and I really don't feel like Bill Murray is going to sign himself to 9 movies for Marvel. I just don't see him doing that. And number two, he really says this isn't the kind of thing he normally does, so it is really a big departure from the stuff that we usually see from him. He also did mention in the article that, and I didn't put it in the quote, that he liked the experience but wouldn't want to do it again, which means that even he probably doesn't want to go back and do this kind of nonsense. But I did hear today that he was on the set for several weeks, which I was kind of surprised to me. Because I really thought if he was just going to film a cameo where he's in like 1 or 2 scenes and then leaves, that he would probably shoot within 3 or 4 days. The fact that he was there for a couple of weeks is actually kind of surprising to me. But I still think that that it's going to be a little bit more than a cameo, but not really that close to being a full-time role. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't suspect that it's something huge. I mean, he's probably going to play someone who's at least mildly important to the plot. But, I mean, because, yeah, for a few weeks, I mean, you're showing up for a few weeks for a movie set. I mean, unless he just likes to hang around. I mean, he's Bill Murray. He does what he wants. I don't know his life. You know, you're probably filming something at least somewhat substantial. You got to be there for, more than a week, I'd say, just to film one scene. Usually. So, yeah. I mean, this is what is this the second Ant-Man movie, or just like the third?
It's the third.
Third. So, I mean, we're pretty well established, at least with this character. I mean, obviously the MCU is pretty established. I'm just saying, to throw him in now, I mean, I don't know. It may be, like you said, it may be just like a here and gone kind of thing. I don't know. We don't even know who he's supposed to be. Like, I don't know what his part is. I don't know. It's Bill Murray. I mean, I'm not mad. Can't be mad about Bill Murray.
Okay, for the sake
I wonder if he had to do any.
Not being able to see the mask.
I wonder if he
go for a minute.
Oh no.
I wonder if he had to go so early and maybe prep before filming because he had to like train for something. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to like practice or learn some moves or something.
I highly doubt that he's fighting. I don't think he's going to have any.
Okay.
No, well, I mean, hey, I could be wrong.
He fought zombies in Zombieland too. You don't know.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I would imagine his. You just brought up a great comparison. I think what he's probably going to be in this movie is something like what we saw in Zombieland 2. It's going to be. It might be a long cameo, something that happens over like one big long scene, but I don't know. All I know is I think it's going to be fun. I mean, because Ant-Man is one of the parts of the MCU where they've really they've really attached themselves to the comedy. I mean, all the MCU works comedy in pretty well, but I mean, Paul Rudd is kind of a natural comedian. He's done comedy most of his career. Bill Murray is Bill Murray. I mean, the guy, embodies in comedy. He has for 40 years now. So I feel like if you're going to put him in any MCU movie, this is probably the one. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. Even Paul Rudd was even great on Friends. I wasn't a big fan of the Friends show myself. He was great in it, being Phoebe's love interest. So, he's got that. That's why he was in another movie. I forget what it was, and I was like, "Is he going to be in that movie as Ant-Man?" Because he's so well known as Ant-Man anymore now.
Y'all didn't see him in 40-Year-Old Virgin like I did, you fucking plebs.
Hey,
I never saw that movie, so I don't know.
I go back to Clueless.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I saw him in Friends as well.
Oh, that's right. He was the stepbrother or ex-stepbrother that became the love interest at the end. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Y'all don't know Paul Rudd.
But yeah, this is gonna be fun. I actually kind of look forward to it. But my question is like how seriously did he take it? Because he was one of the people that either on purpose or inadvertently was kind of screwing the idea of a third Ghostbusters movie until it finally came around, and we're going to be getting that here in a few weeks, which is really exciting. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Finally?
But, yeah, finally.
Right.
But yeah, the question is he I'm assuming he was easy enough to work with. If he was on the set for several weeks, then I would imagine he did okay. And look, he wanted to work with Peyton Reed. Peyton Reed sold him on the idea of doing the cameo, from what I hear. One thing that's important to mention, though, is that in this article, he does not mention Peyton Reed by name. So he tries to talk around.
He mentions the game Bring It On, though.
He does. He is indirectly trying to make references to Peyton Reed without saying name. It also looked like immediately after he said, "I just finished shooting a Marvel movie," and this was not a TV interview, it was a print interview. They did say that it looked like he regretted it immediately. So maybe or maybe not, it wasn't the right time for Marvel anyway for all this to come out. But look, this is,
that's what you get for bringing Bill Murray on. He's a comedian and everybody wants to. He's not in the public eye as much anymore. So for him to do an interview, it's like everybody's going to want to read it.
Yeah. The only director he seems to want to work with anymore is Paul Thomas Anderson. Not that they don't make good movies together, but the fact that he stepped way out of his normal fare to do an MCU movie is actually kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what do you guys think? Go on the chat and let us know. Do you think Bill Murray is going to play a big role, a small role? How funny do you think he's going to be? We are dealing with multiverses and quantum realms and blah blah blah. What are the odds that he plays Venkman? That he just shows up with a proton pack.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm wondering
Why
if his
not?
cameo is him being one of his characters from another movie.
Maybe. Carl
So-
Spangler.
I mean, because they do mention, that this is a world that has movies like Back to the Future and shit like that. So I'm like, well, because Paul Rudd was the one who mentioned it, and he's like, Back to the Future's all bullshit. I don't know. I mean, you have that cameo from Dan Aykroyd in fucking, what was that, Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Like, just for a split, he runs out, he's like, you know what? Call someone else or some shit, and he runs off. I'm like, like, just fun shit like that.
But yeah.
Could be.
But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about these 3 stories. They all kind of broke in the last 24 hours. I didn't really have a chance to dig up a whole lot on them because I was trying to get the rest of the show together. But they are interesting. So go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about all the stuff that we just talked about. Now let's move on to the next big part of the show tonight, Miss Cora.
All right. Well, Evil Dead Rise is likely on its way sometime next year, and we've learned via Lee Cronin that filming on the hotly anticipated franchise return is now complete. Cronin said in a tweet, quote, 8 months, 1 COVID lockdown, 6,500 liters of blood, and more memories than my brain can even process. That is a wrap on Evil Dead Rise. Thank you, New Zealand. It's been a blast. Time to head home and cut this beast together, quote. Jeremy, how excited are you for Evil Dead Rise?
Well, considering I'm the one that shared this to you guys, I am super excited. Oh, believe me, I saw that and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm here for it. I love the original. I love the sequel, which is basically the original for the first half hour because we don't talk about it. And then it became kind of, I don't know. Then it went into that weird Army of Darkness shit, and then I never actually got to see the show, which really sucks. Like, I have the seasons, like the physical copies of the seasons, because I meant to watch them. But it's backlogged into my mind, so I do need to watch the Ash vs. Evil Dead. I fell asleep watching the remake, not really by my own doing. I was just literally super fucking tired. So I didn't really get to see it. But I'm not going to turn down more Evil Dead. I mean, like I said, I have the chainsaw arm right in that closet right there. You can't see it, but it's over there. So, and the boomstick's in there too.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. The Evil Dead stuff, man, that's all classic.
Yeah, that's a cult classic.
I mean, it's not even just cult. It's like I don't know exactly how it did like in the box office stuff when it came out, but I mean, when you talk to even people who aren't big fans of horror, they're like, oh yeah, Evil Dead, because it did kind of cross over a little bit from the straight horror genre into a lot of the other stuff. There is these elements of comedy, there is this element of action that kind of attracts a couple of different kinds of fans to the film. So I think that's one of the reasons why this franchise has carried as long as it has. I agree with Jeremy; they did get away from the straight horror inspiration and aspect of it all in like the second one, and they made it a bit more action comedy rather than, and then they kind of took away some of the horror stuff that made it fun. But look, I haven't heard much about this, but I'm just looking at it, listening to the way that Lee Cronin describes it. It sounds like fun. I mean, I'm excited to go see it. I mean, that visual right there is actually kind of cool. It actually looks very classic. Now, Jeremy, maybe you can help me out here. Is that one of the classic images, or is that something new? Because it looks new, but they just kind of like made it look classic.
With the girl
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that's the original. That's the poster from the first movie, but it does look a little more HD and a little done up and shit. Like, no, that's the classic image of Evil Dead. Like, it's the girl getting taken by the throat, like by this little. I guess it's a deadite. I guess in lore of the movie. Yeah, no, that's the cover from the very first movie. That's even though that like never happens, but we don't care.
We don't care as long as it's good. Hopefully, this will be coming around Halloween next year, so that way we're making good use of the beautiful, scary month of October for a movie like this. I'd really hate for them to like release this in the middle of summer. I've never understood why horror movies release in summer. It's like
don't be like Scream and release in fucking July.
Well, I mean, September is getting there. It's like, okay, we're getting into the fall. Summer's over. That kind of makes sense. And if you release it in mid-September, you're still in theaters for October for the Halloween month. So it works okay. But I mean, July, no, that's not. It just doesn't fit. Now, Now, Scream, let's be honest here. Scream is going after the summer blockbuster, the teenagers and shit like that. It doesn't really matter when they release that because it's more of a horror. It's more of a comedy than it was horror anyway. But
I mean, I guess.
But
That's
you know,
self-aware.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I love the fact that we're getting back to some of this old school stuff that was the that really was the breeding ground for all that great horror stuff in the 70s and 80s. If you're getting a lot of young filmmakers like Jason Blum, who's almost single-handedly kind of resuscitated the horror genre in Hollywood because it was
Fucking
dead.
Love Jason Blum.
Yeah, it was dead for so long, and then he came along. He breathed fresh life into it, and he's made some really good movies over there at Blumhouse Productions. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for the fact that people are finally getting into making real horror movies again, and I think this could be another one of those movies that that could be a huge thing for the genre. That's what I think, and I really want.
I wonder.
Back on top.
I wonder if Bruce Campbell might have a little cameo in this, maybe.
Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, and who else? I forget who are actually producers on this. I don't know if.
All right.
I don't know if Bruce Campbell.
I mean, if they're producers, I'm still cool with that. They still got their hand in it.
Who am I thinking of? I lost my. You know what? I didn't even print that piece of paper. But yeah, Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi are actually part of the production team for this. So it's not like he's just got some guy who grew up a fan of this trying to make his own kind of homage to the series, which maybe that's what Lee Cronin's doing. But you also have these two people who are responsible for that originated this whole franchise that are involved and helping kind of guide this whole ship. So that's comforting. I think that's awesome, and I'm confident this movie is going to do well.
I'm here for it.
Hell yeah!
Nice.
Anyway, go down.
Wait, I was also hail to the king, baby. Throw one little Bruce Campbell zinger in there. Sorry.
And Bruce Campbell's so good. He's been in so much cool stuff. He was fun in Burn Notice and kind of a supporting role. I don't know how many people ever watched that show. But,
I did. I went on DVD.
Yeah, he was dude. His comedic timing is great.
Oh yeah, and his outfits are terrible, but they're great. Like whoever costumed that character, it's like that is so. There's nothing like crisp. Like okay, this is a brand new shirt. This is a brand new outfit. You gotta look perfect. It's like no, this looks like a real guy. They personified that character so well visually.
Well, he's dressed like a late 50s retiree in Florida. They all wear those puka shirts and shit like that. That's what they wear. That's what retired white people wear when they live on Miami Beach. But But anyway, go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Are you excited that Evil Dead is going to be coming back to the big screens? Hopefully sometime around this time next year. But Lady Cora, what do we have coming up next?
Well, I didn't get to see it yet, but I plan to this weekend, so I'm a little jealous you guys had time to see it. It sucks getting a job again and having to spend hours in the week working. But anyways, Dune hit the big screens this weekend, pulling an impressive $41 million. Let me say that again. $41 million. In the U.S., despite being simultaneously released on HBO Max, star-studded sci-fi epic is getting rave reviews and has made very good money at the international box office, drawing a worldwide total of $223 million. Jeremy, what did you think of Dune? I know you watched it recently.
Yeah, I watched it about an hour ago. Shit. I mean, you got Thanos, fucking Mary Jane, Aquaman, Poe Dameron in this fucking movie. I mean, and Willy Wonka apparently fucking this kid. So hey, you know what? I was not disappointed with the cat. Oh, and fucking Bootstrap Bill from Pirates of the Caribbean. That voice was bugging the shit out of me. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? I knew that voice. I'm like, oh, it's Bootstrap. Gotcha. Yeah. Honestly, I thought I saw the original, and I know I actually had not. So I'm actually gonna go back and watch the original one sometime later. But being that, I mean, it's gonna suck because now I'm spoiled because I've seen this one first. So, I mean, not that I don't enjoy a good '80s movie. This was, I mean, visually, it was stunning as shit. It was, very Star Trek, Star Warsy. You believe that you're in this other universe on this other planet. Um, it was pretty cool. Like it's when I noticed it flashed. It said part 1. I was like, oh, what? You didn't say that. You can't just flash that little thing and like 10 text sizes smaller than the word Dune and be like, oh, part 1. I'm like, well, what now? Yeah, because then you got fucking Zendaya who was there for like 10 minutes of the fucking movie and she's like, oh, it's just the beginning. I'm like, huh? We followed you for the whole fucking... Just for you to tell me that was the beginning. But hey, if this is going to be a series, maybe, I don't know how long they want to make this series, but you know what? It had me. I'm not gonna lie. I was in the world, in the lore, and I was following pretty well. But that's probably because I play, MMOs and shit like that. So I'm used to shit like this. It's a sweet little fucking space romp. I like it.
I've known of it for years as a book series, and I have them all on Audible, and I for years have intended to re-listen to all of them. But I've never seen any of the film or TV adaptations of it. So I'm looking forward to this.
Well, the original 80s film was looked upon a lot like the original Blade Runner. It was very smart, very cerebral, and way ahead of its time, and it kind of missed a lot of people because of it. But then over time, as people started, as people's taste in movies evolved, people would go back and watch it and say, "Hey, this movie is actually pretty damn good."
Okay.
And this movie, I think this movie does. It's a very dense movie. I think it does a better job of telling the story than the 1980 film does. But I thought it was again, it's not the typical action fare. Now the action that you see in the movie is very, very good, but there's not a whole lot of it. I mean, you tend to think of these space epics like Star Wars and stuff like that, or Star Trek or whatever. There's a lot of laser blasts and battles and things like that. But this movie is not that. It's definitely, it's got little bits of the politics of space. It's got little bits of the religion of his mother and how he fits into both these worlds that he's a part of and that he's considered very important in. But then again, it does have that little bit of an action thing that pops up every now and again and lets you know that there is conflict that exists between these groups. But I thought they portioned all that out very, very well. Because again, it's a lot of really dense material. Again, I didn't read the books either, but I did see the original movie, and I've gone and done some research on what the story's all about. And this, I thought, was a great kind of first act for this trilogy of movies that I think they want to make. I think they said they wanted to make 3.
Wow, did they lock the actors in?
I would imagine they probably did. But I'm glad you bring up the actors, because that's another thing that I thought was fantastic. Is talk about a loaded cast. I mean, this cast is full of home run hitters. It's a murderer's row of talent, and they all killed it. Denis Villeneuve did in this what made the Avengers so successful whenever they get together. It's like each one of these characters has 1 or 2 moments in the movie to shine and really like carry the film. It's like Jason Momoa, even though he's not in the film for a whole lot, when he's in the film, he's significant. He carries it, and it's fantastic. Oscar Isaacs, I thought, was brilliant in the movie. That's some of the best acting I've seen him do. I loved him as Poe Dameron. I've loved him in a lot of stuff that I've seen. Ex Machina, great movie. I think you guys should see if you haven't seen it. But when he's like front and center and carrying his dialogue and his acting is carrying the film, it's fantastic. And I think all these characters do a great job of contributing to what is really just the first part of a very interesting story that I'm excited to get more of.
Yeah. He had a beautiful ass beard in this movie too. I don't know why it was distracting me so much. I'm like, God damn, I wish I could look that good. Like, I was jealous. I had beard envy like hella bad. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, another thing I liked about it is it's very difficult to make a desert area look beautiful. I mean, I see a desert and I get a little bit, and I feel the beauty in it and stuff like that because I like it. But on film, it's very hard to make this look good. And look, I've said 1,000 times that Avatar is one of the most overrated movies that I have ever seen. But that visually, it's fucking stunning. It is probably the most beautiful movie ever made. This movie's pretty close. It's really hard to make these set pieces that are so grand and so dry and arid, and they don't have like the color and everything that people tend to like. It's really hard to make them look that beautiful on screen. But the vastness of the deserts, like in the beginning of the movie, they even managed to bring a dark tone to that watery planet that they kind of live on in the beginning of the movie. They even managed to bring a darker, dimmer tone to that, but still use that dark blue color to try to give you, to help get you immersed into the environment. And then that's when you get kind of this visual shock when you go to this other planet where they're mining the spice, and it's just all deserts. I thought it was great the way the cinematographers worked all that.
I mean, this is where I will now bring up my sign as my one per usual. I don't like Sam. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Thank you. You're welcome, Star Wars
Sadly,
fans.
that's the most quotable line of that movie.
You don't like sand.
Of that one, yeah. Yeah. I've weirdly come around to being like, you know what, fuck you. I will be a prequel defender. Because you have the sequels now and they suck. So I said what I said. Now I'm not saying Poe Dameron's not like my favorite character from the new series. And I'm gonna say it when he fucking said to his son, like, I didn't want this ring either. I wanted to be a pilot. I'm like, you mean like a starfighter pilot? It's like, come on, man. In an alternate universe in a galaxy far, far away, you're a pilot. Don't worry, bro. It's all good.
Nice.
But yeah, but there's so much about this movie that was so good. They actually just greenlit, I think yesterday is when it came out. Yesterday or before, they just greenlit the second one, and there was a lot of speculation as to why the second one wasn't already in production, why it wasn't already greenlit. I kind of understand, because this is one of the many films where the release schedule was kind of screwed by the whole pandemic thing. So They were probably waiting to see. I mean, it has to make a certain amount of money, and it's done very well in the international box office, by the way. And I think you mentioned that, in the lead-in, Cora. It's done very well in the international market, so it's going to make money. But I don't blame them for wanting to kind of take a step back and see, how this, where the wind was going to blow the sand, so to speak. Because you can't just spend $200 million in a movie and not have a significant enough return to make another movie worthwhile. You know what I mean? So I get it. And they probably knew that the subject matter was going to be more for the hardcore sci-fi fans anyway. That some casual fans are going to see this movie and like it, and I hope they do. But, they did really... I don't blame them for kind of sitting back and wanting to see exactly where this whole thing was going to go.
Yeah, I think that this might reignite the interest in the books as well. So I love that movies like this come out for classic book series, because I think it feeds the drive for reading as well. So I'm excited for seeing it for that reason.
It very well could. Jeremy, what are some of your just kind of final thoughts on this?
Like I said, I am totally down for a sequel, a trilogy. Because if that was the benchmark of anything to go off of, I mean, holy crap. I guess, like you said, it didn't have a whole lot. I mean, it didn't have a whole lot of just like action shit, but like it still, like I said, it still had me. Maybe that's what they were trying to go for, and like, yeah, because being a sci-fi fan and like a fantasy kind of person, I think you got something good here, and I want to see more. I want to see more of this world. Like you said, it's dense, and I'm like, but I felt. It felt believable, and I could actually, I could believe it. Like, you know what I mean? I was in it.
Yeah, I also don't understand why people are bitching about Zendaya not being in the movie enough. It's like, yes, for the first two acts, you only see her in Timothée Chalamet's dreams or something like that, or whatever visions he's having. But she does come in a very important part. It's in the beginning part of the third act. She is going to be significant for the movies moving forward, however many they make. I don't know if they're just going to do 2 or 3. I thought I read 3, but I'm not sure. But it's like, stop bitching. I mean, this was... My only real knock on it is I kind of compare it to the first Lord of the Rings movie. There was a whole lot of setup, and it got... It was good, but it got really good towards the end. And I have a feeling the next movie is just going to pick up where this one leaves off, and you've already got all the explanation you need about who everybody is, things like that.
It'll be better.
Get right into the story. Very exciting from the jump. It's right into all the politics, the religion, hopefully a little bit more action. But there is one thing, a couple of things really that kind of got me about this movie. One is it seems like everybody dies in this movie.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, who is even left?
Because Oscar, and again, this is spoiler alert territory, people. We talk spoilers in this channel, except for when I do my short reviews. I try to leave the spoilers out of that. But Jason Isaacs' character dies. Jason Momoa's character dies.
And Josh Brolin died?
So it's basically
Josh Brolin,
a movie version of the Breaking, or not, the Walking Dead, where everybody dies.
Yeah, anybody can die.
I don't know. Well, but you mentioned Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin is the one that we don't know about, because I think the last time we see Josh Brolin is he's walking into a battle, and that's it.
Yeah, because I was kind of like, wait, I don't know if I just
see how
assumed
that battle ends up.
I'm like, again, with like Chorus of the Walking Dead, I'm like, I didn't see a body. I didn't see you die, so I guess you're right. Like, I mean, although that thing got bombed and like fired to the fucking ground, I'm like, not saying he wouldn't get out of it. I don't know. Maybe he'll just come out of the sand like fucking Sandman, or out of there like Thanos, because I can't stop making jokes.
Thanos.
There was sand everywhere, and I'm like, man, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, and I'm sorry, if they're bitching about Zendaya not being in the movie, I'm like, I think fucking Jason Momoa was in the movie less than she was. Why the fuck you bitching? Just because he's Aquaman? Fucking, I love Jason Momoa, and I was kind of sad to not see him as much as I did. I was kind of like, yeah, he's got some fucking badass parts because he's Jason Momoa. Like, no. I'm sorry that you didn't fucking get your Mary Jane. Fuck you. I don't know. Deal with it. She said it herself. This is just the beginning. There's more to come. Chill.
Her acting is kind of dry in this movie, though. I thought it's like once she finally gets in there.
Wait, you mean dry like sand?
Yeah,
oh.
That's exactly what I mean.
I hope that's.
Was it grating on your enjoyment of the movie?
It was not grating on my enjoyment of the movie.
Was it gritty against your skin?
No. She's still hot. That makes up for it. And she actually looks really sexy with those blue eyes, by the way. Those blue eyes and all these, you know, I just kind of like want to call them the sand people, like from Star Wars, but the blue eyes that they all have because they live in this environment that has this dust. What the hell is it called?
The spice.
The spice. They live in this environment that's got the spice in the air, so it makes their eyes like super bright blue. It's like that's a really, really cool look.
So she's a spice girl.
She's a spice girl.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was a meme I saw on Facebook the other day about that.
I'm mad.
It was like, do I have to see the first one to understand this movie? And then like, it was Spice World was right here, and then it was Dune right here.
God damn it.
I was like, no, that's not good. That's not good. No
also,
baby spice.
Also, I didn't want to make another Star Wars joke when they're like, oh yeah, there's like a spice trade here. I'm like, you told him that, told Luke Skywalker his dad was a navigator on a spice freighter. Nice. Even though that was a bloody ass lie. Yeah. I'll stop with Star Wars. I'm sorry.
But yeah,
can't help it.
But everybody in this movie dies. I kind of wonder who's left. I mean, are they going to... And again, I haven't read the book, so if anybody watching or if anybody out there has read the book and you guys know something I don't, I'm sorry. But I don't know if there's a flood of new characters that come into the story in what is going to be the second part of this. I'll have to look into that and see. Mm-hmm. But I just thought it was weird that some of the best characters died.
Have they specified their intention to stay true to the books or kind of go off on their own?
I would imagine they're going to try to stay as close as they can to the source material.
Okay.
That's what I imagine. But again, I don't really know.
Okay.
But I would imagine that for this, they're going to stay as close as they can to the source material. There's some things that you write in books that you just can't translate very well on the screen. So they're probably going to take some liberties about, you know where it concerns that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for the second one. I really, really like the first one. Even the giant hairy sand vaginas that swim through the sand. Theatrically, they were really, really cool. Theatrically, I thought they looked really badass. But it was like, why is it hairy? It looks hairy.
It's just a mobile Starlight pit.
Yeah.
I know I said I was done with the Star Wars jokes, but I am not.
Actually,
I lied.
I think Jennifer actually made that same comparison.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Starlight pit mixed with like the little space worm that was there, and oh hell, something else. What was that? What was that thing in Mandalorian? That thing that came out of the fucking ground that they were fighting. It's kind of like that. Came out of the sand.
Oh, I don't remember what it was called.
You know what I'm talking about,
the
though.
ones in Beetlejuice, the sand things.
Similar, but
Yeah.
it has hair for teeth. That's what it looked like anyway.
Yeah.
Honestly, it looked
like a whale that uses the tissue material that looks like hair to screen the krill through their mouth.
Krill. Yeah.
Good job, Rose. Way to go out there and plug the show. Good job, buddy. But yeah, there's any final thoughts, Jeremy and Cora, on Dune before we move on to what I'm sure will dominate the next 45 minutes of the show.
I want to see it. I'm looking forward to it this weekend.
I would recommend seeing it. Like I said, I want to see more. I'm sure this is going to eventually, like, we just saw this. I'm like, yeah, but it's like when you watch Lord of the Rings in its entirety, you kind of get the whole point of it. So, I'm waiting for more.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about the second part of this thing. I think it's going to be awesome. I think, like I said, I think it's going to be like Lord of the Rings. I think it's going to pick up right, or at least shortly after this movie leaves off. And because you don't have to go through all that explanation as to who's who and how they're got to where they're at, you're going to go right to the main plot of the movie, and it's going to be 2 hours just awesome.
Awesome.
But anyway, go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of Dune. Have you seen it yet? And another thing, it did very, very well in the box office for having the simultaneous release on HBO Max and the theaters. That was one. Now, $41 million is not great. I mean, some movies that have come out in the last couple of months have done better, but some of those movies like Shang-Chi didn't have to deal with a day-and-date release on Disney+. Halloween Kills did actually release on Peacock the same time it released in theaters, but it was released at a premium. You have to have like a certain tier of membership to watch it on that. And I think most people are going to the theater to see that. I think because it's a horror movie, it probably did about what it was going to do anyway. But some of these movies that have done killer money, they haven't had the day-and-date release. This one did, and 41 million is not bad. I was kind of hoping it would hit the 50 mark. But I mean, 41 million is not terrible at all. I think a movie like this, most people are going to want to go see it in the theaters. If they want to see it, they're going to go to the theaters to see it at least once. Because you can't really get the spectacle of the effects, and you can't really be immersed in the world if you're the same way if you're watching on your TV at home. Even if you have a big TV, I have a big enough TV that I'm comfortable with, and I get a kick out of watching some of these movies, but it doesn't beat the big screen. Nothing beats the big screen, especially for like the sci-fi, the special effects stuff.
Agreed.
But yeah, go see it in theaters if you get a chance, because it is, again, it's visually a very beautiful movie. I really like what the cinematographers did to make this arid, dry desert look beautiful. The color tones, the palettes, the costumes were amazing. I mean, it looked. I mean, Oscar Isaac's costume, like when he's dressed up in all his armor and stuff, looks badass. Looks like something Batman would wear.
Yeah, true.
And Jason Momoa, I don't know if he's slimmed down for this or not, but I mean, he's still not somebody I'd want to, meet in an alley behind a bar to fight. But I mean, even he looked like he may have slimmed down a bit, but even still with that suit on, he looked like a friggin' warrior, like someone who would just beat people down, which he does at a couple points in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there was a lot about this movie to like. I was really, really happy because I really wanted this movie to be good, because one of my first big exposures to sci-fi was the original Dune that came out back in 1980. It's one of the things that kind of drew me to the genre. So to see this movie do well, to see it be made very, very well, was very, very pleasing to me. And I think you guys are going to dig it too if you go out to the theaters and see it. But if all you get a chance to do is sit at home and watch on HBO Max, that's good too. I've already watched on HBO Max as well, so
nice.
I think you guys get a kick out of it. Now, Miss Cora, what's the last thing that we're going to talk about that I'm sure is going to dominate most of the rest of the show?
Well, first of all, I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I'm really happy to talk about this. And
I was thinking another story, but go ahead.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so Hayden Christiansen is staying in the fold of the Galactic Empire. The actor will reprise the role of Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, in I might be saying this wrong. Ahsoka, Ahsoka,
Ahsoka
Ahsoka.
Tano.
You had it right the first time. Good job.
Ahsoka. Yep.
The latest Star Wars live action series from Lucasfilm and Disney Plus. The plot details are being kept in the far reaches of the Outer Rim, but it is known that longtime Star Wars lightsaber wielder Dave Filoni is writing the series and executive producing with Jon Favreau. Frank, what do you think of Hayden Christensen pulling double duty on the Obi-Wan series and Ahsoka?
I'm really excited.
I just am so excited. There's more Star Wars happening with fucking Anakin. I could give two shits about that love story they had, right? I just wanted the backstory of.
Man, I was
Darth
like,
Vader.
put him in the corner. Put him in the corner. It's a prequel person. Put him in the corner. Make him say it's good.
Well,
Just saying.
well, I don't know if it's going to be good. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm
Look,
just saying it's Hayden Christensen.
My problem with Hayden Christensen wasn't Hayden Christensen. My problem with the prequels wasn't Hayden Christensen. My problem with the prequels is that Lucas should have directed them himself. He didn't get the good performances out of the actors, which is one of the things the director has to do.
They were trying their best with what they had.
Now, to his credit, he did try to get. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. He did try to get other people to direct these movies, and they all said no. Spielberg, I think, had some scheduling conflicts. He asked Ron Howard to direct at least one of the prequels, and Ron Howard said no. So he did try to get other people to help realize his vision, but they said no. So he kind of was in a position that he had to do it himself. And I just think he was in a much different place than he was for the original 3 movies that came out in the 70s.
Oh.
So I don't think that he was in a position to get the kind of performances out of people that he needed.
Gotcha.
Now you've got, Liam Neeson was already Liam Neeson at that point. He was already a seasoned actor and a bunch of cool things. It didn't take much to get out of him. And, Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor, who was still kind of he was hitting his stride right about then. But he had already done a couple of pretty good small films. I think he had already done Train Spotting at that point.
Oh, okay.
I think.
What? When was he in Moulin Rouge? Was that at that same time?
I think Moulin Rouge was after.
Okay.
Maybe shortly after.
Yeah, I'm like, it's about the same time. Yeah, okay.
They were pretty close together. But, he was hitting his stride right about then. And so, and maybe just the character worked. Also, he does have a connection to Alec Guinness, I believe. He was.
Well, his uncle was Wedge.
Yes.
In the original movie.
So he had the connection to the original series, so it all worked out pretty well. But the rest of them, it just didn't work. But Hayden Christensen coming back I think it's pretty cool because I like the fact that they did some things in the newer trilogy that tried to admit that yes, the prequels, even though a lot of people didn't like them, they are part of canon. So we're going to throw back to them and remind people that they are all part of this one giant Skywalker family story that starts with Anakin back in the day when he was a kid and has gotten us here to this point with Kylo Ren, who was a Skywalker descendant. So we've come this big long journey that starts there and gets us to this point. So I kind of dig it. As far as being in Ahsoka, look, we already know he's going to be in the Obi-Wan thing, and I'm very cool with that because the Obi-Wan thing is going to take place in much the same time frame as the Mandalorian, in the time between
3 and 4.
Between Return of the Jedi and the new
Revenge of the Sith, you mean?
Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
And A New Hope, yes.
I got you.
They're 9 movies deep into this thing now. I'm starting to get them all confused.
I know. It's big. I know. I don't blame you.
But my question with this is Ahsoka is going to take place in the same time frame as Mandalorian, in which Darth Vader and Anakin are dead. So what form does he take? Now, the running theories are now is that it's going to take place in the form of flashbacks because Anakin was Ahsoka's Jedi Master that trained her. She was his Padawan. So it could be flashbacks. There's also this theory, and this is kind of the one that I like I don't know how it works, but this is the one that I like. And as you can see in the picture below you, that he's going to come back as a Force ghost and guide her through.
I like that one.
And guide her through
like
whatever she's going through.
That I like, because when I was a kid, let me tell you, episode 4, 5, and 6, Obi-Wan being the little, ghost, that was so cool to me. And I think if they incorporated that as a pivotal character role in something, I think it would kind of be a nice, ode to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jeremy, what form do you think he's going to take in the show?
So hold on, you're sure this is after he's dead, right? Because this took. I'm assuming it's still Rosario Dawson there. I'm like, they met her. This is between 3 and 4 as well, right? Isn't the Mandalorian not? Or no, wait a minute.
The Mandalorian takes place after the events of Return of the Jedi.
No, you're right. I'm stupid. Because I was like, yeah, Luke Skywalker showed up at the end. That's right. Don't listen to me. Yeah, I guess maybe since I know he's supposed to come back as Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan series because that's between 3 and 4. That makes sense. But this just said Anakin, so I'm like, well, okay, so it would probably be a Force ghost. Maybe the more, it's not going to be Darth Vader-y. It's probably going to be just like a little bit wiser Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker himself. The whole redemption arc has been made, after Return of the Jedi. So yeah, he's probably going to be like a mentor to her, kind of like a Luke to like Rey kind of thing. And it's going to be cool to see that history, because there's that. If you watch the Clone Wars, there's a big history between the two of them. That they could really bring out and explore more, because we don't see this version of Ahsoka like this much later. At least that I know of. I hadn't really seen the last couple seasons of Clone Wars. However, yeah, that'll be interesting. I kind of want to see more Force Ghost Anakin.
Yeah, I'm just very glad we're getting an Ahsoka TV series because I love Rosario Dawson. I love Rosario Dawson, and I thought she played the role perfectly. I was kind of bummed we only really got her for the one episode, but I mean her character popped off to the point where they were like, hey, wait a minute, maybe we need to go ahead and think about spinning her off into her own thing. And I am curious to see where her personal story goes. As she breaks away from the Mandalorian and does the stuff in her own story. I feel like it would be interesting to me if you're going to have Darth Vader exist in the Obi-Wan series, to have Anakin exist in this series as a Force ghost, and maybe kind of subtly play off the duality of what Anakin always was. Because there's always he's always, even when he was young, the child Anakin that we got in episode 1, there was always that battle between light and dark in him. And the light ultimately ends up winning, but there's always that tug of war for his soul. And I think it would be interesting to see the Darth Vader side of him on this series and the Anakin side of him on this series, and maybe have little pieces of dialogue that in each thing that kind of focuses on that dichotomy of who he always has been.
Yeah.
I think this is how it should have been. I think is what you're saying. It's like Duke came back into acting just to do this, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't know if he's going to continue doing stuff, because I'm like, he tried some stuff after, and he just kind of thought, nah, this isn't working. But I'm like, if you got Duke come back and something that he probably is, he has faith in or is passionate about, I'm like, hey, you get to work with Ewan McGregor again. You get to work with Rosario Dawson, I'm assuming. You know what? Why not? Go for it. This is a chance to kind of make it right, make it work.
The interesting thing about the Obi-Wan series coming up is I can't imagine there's a time where they're going to have any scenes together, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christiansen, because at this point he has no idea that Obi-Wan's still alive. Obi-Wan is in hiding, trying to watch over Luke. So
I'm sure we're gonna have things. We're gonna have Darth Vader things happening, and we're gonna see it. But yeah, he's. Although we don't know what's between that time. Maybe there could be some close calls, or there could be some shit that happens. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, he never found Obi-Wan hiding out on Tatooine, which was, that's a pretty baller move if you're like, hey, where would he never think to go? Oh, he wouldn't go back. There's sand there. He hates sand. Get that shit all up in your suit? Hell no, dude. You're not going there.
I'm sure he's got filters and everything to get all that shit out. What
There's space technology.
What do you think all the buttons in the chest are for?
I don't know. Maybe he's got like a little vending machine. He just a little popcorn maker or some bullshit. I don't know.
He's got Netflix built into his HUD. He's just like,
right.
Oh, The Crown! I love this episode.
Right. That's why he's doing that little spear when he's sitting there by himself, just fucking watching shit.
He's Netflix and chilling.
In space.
People do that alone?
Sure.
Yeah,
he probably does. I don't know.
What else are you gonna do? I don't know. It'll be interesting to look at because I know it's not. I wish it was, but it's not canon. The Force Unleashed games, because that took place between 3 and 4. It was like the Empire's getting set up, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, Darth Vader totally had this like stupid, powerful fucking Force user as an apprentice." They were like, "Yeah, I'm totally gonna overthrow the Emperor," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, the fuck you're not, because that would fuck up the entire canon." And this guy that can pull an entire fucking starship out of the sky with his fucking hands. No, the fuck you're not. You're gonna have to write that out real fucking fast. As soon as I played the game, I was like, he's gonna die. There's no way this keeps going. And even if you're gonna fly that under the radar of this big 20-year gap between 3 and 4, I'm like, nah, bullshit. This is fun. I'm not gonna lie, this was fucking fun. Mm-hmm. It's a fun game, but no. So I don't know. Maybe this will be a nice little gap filler of actual canon. That's gonna be like, yeah, this is what really happened.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think. We, as many of you have been watching us for a little while, we broke down all the episodes of both seasons of Mandalorian, actually, I believe. And so we're probably going to be breaking down Ahsoka. We're probably going to be breaking down Obi-Wan as those things come out. I think the Ahsoka one's probably still kind of far away, probably late next year. Obi-Wan, though, I think they have been filming it for a while.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably going to get that by the end of winter.
Shit, we're gonna also not just Mandalorian, but we're also gonna do a Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett is coming in December. Probably shortly after that is going to be Mandalorian. And then I think immediately after that would probably be a good time for Obi-Wan. And then maybe after Obi-Wan's over, maybe we get Ahsoka. Who knows? But that's a whole lot of really, really good Star Wars stuff coming over the course of the next year.
Yeah.
That is some exciting stuff to talk about. But anyway, go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Were you guys fans of Hayden Christiansen in the prequels? Did you guys like the prequels? Are you fans of him coming back and playing this role again? I personally am very excited about it. What's going on, Mikhail? I see you in the chat, my man. So let us know what you guys think about Hayden Christiansen popping back up for not 1, but 2 Disney Plus Star Wars shows. And before we go too much further, I just want to say what's up to the chat real quick. We got... let's see, who do we got in here? Going back to the beginning, Penny the Pooh, what's going on? He subscribed earlier. Paint Light Forever 666, we all know that that's JCS Put Rub, changing his name again. There was me and my other account. Miss Rachel, what's going on, Rachel? Jeremy, obviously, in there as well. Cora in there as well. Van Edwards, The Rose, what's going on, all you guys? TSS2, what's happening? Bolsey's been in here at some point. Van Edwards. Thanks all you guys for coming and hanging out. Michael Cloud just popped in. What is going on? And, of course, my girlfriend Jennifer, Miss the Harsh Truth, just came in. And she's saying hi to you, Cora. She doesn't like me. She just wants to come in and say hi to you.
Do you tell her hi and tell her that I love her? She's so
I will
sweet.
tell her that you said hi and that you love her dearly and that you guys both like each other more than you like me. And now Firebird. What's going on, Firebird?
Oh, boy.
She don't like me either, so she ain't gonna say hi to me.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You boys. And you say girls are emo, for fuck's sake.
You guys are evil. I don't want to hear it.
Emo. Emotional.
Emo.
Oh. No, that's... Look, you've seen how I dress. This isn't it, but hold on now.
I wouldn't put Jeremy in the emo class. I just think he likes the dark look.
He rocks it well, doesn't he?
He does. Better than I probably ever would.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like... I hide all the other shit pretty well. You don't know. It's a facade.
Yeah.
Well, Lady Cora, what is the next thing that we want to talk about? And this is the one I'm pretty sure we'll probably keep us going for the rest of the show.
Well, and there's one that piggybacks off of this that I spontaneously want to add in. There was a thing on Twitter about an event at a Mandalorian shoot this week as well. Lasers or something. Did you see that?
I actually tweeted that. It was from Babylon B.
Is that you?
It was
my
me.
God! Your fucking tweet. What a flawed moment.
The Babylon. Hold on. The Babylon B. For those of you who follow Babylon B on Twitter, obviously they're a fake news site. They're just they're goofy funny.
I fell for it, for fuck's sake. Like, what is this?
Frank, she'd be somebody. Frank, I'm gonna start sending her stuff from the Onion.
No, I know about the Onion.
Okay, that's what you just fell for then. I was like, I'm like, oh God, don't tell me.
But there was a fake article in there that was for humor purposes only. If you think it's in bad taste, whatever, but it's for humor purposes. That says, Stormtrooper accidentally fires off 362 laser blasts in the set of Mandalorian. Nobody was hurt. You have to know. Jeremy's probably looking at my Twitter feed right now because I did put it up. But it's funny. It's a funny headline because that whole joke out there about how the Stormtroopers can't hit anything. And obviously, it's a play on the very unfortunate tragedy that unfolded last week in New Mexico on the set of Rust with Alec Baldwin. But it was funny. I will say I laughed and I retweeted it. So follow me on Twitter.
I fell for it, for fuck's sake. Oh my gosh. This is what happens when I don't come on the show. I get rusty.
Rust.
Well, back to what we're supposed to talk about instead of me stepping in it. It made you laugh. A week after the October 21st tragic shooting on the set of the movie Rust, by the way, terrible name for a movie, claimed the life of Miss Hutchins. Accounts and images released in court documents, interviews, and social media posts have portrayed much of what happened during the tragedy, but they have yet to answer the key question: how live ammunition wound up in a real gun being used as a movie prop, despite precautions that should have prevented it. I watched the press conference with the sheriff and the DA, who was really awkwardly inappropriate with her laughing and smiling. She was nervous, but I was shocked that they had so much ammo. 500 rounds of combinations of blanks. They think some live, and it's just like, what the fuck? But anyways, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the tragedy?
I'm having Crow flashbacks. And I think me and Frank talked about this a little bit. I think it had just happened.
This actually just broke as we were getting on with the show last week, and I actually went and did a quick live stream about it. Jeremy actually had to leave to go somewhere. He probably would have been on with me, but I just did like a 8 or 10 minute long thing about the initial information that was out. But we've got more right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what more has become of this. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of was like the Crow with Brandon Lee. I'm like, well, you still think, I mean, how the hell does that even happen? Or, why? How do you even do that? And I think Frank mentioned them. I think I heard about this. Like after that happened, they make some of these guns now with you said like entry to a steel in the barrel. It's blocked off. It's still got like ported vents on the sides because there's still gas and there's pressure that has to come out of the gun when they fire it on screen. So you'd still think there shouldn't really be a reason as to why this this had to have happened. I don't. That's still mind-boggling to me. I don't know how the hell doing that.
You know that they had 3 guns on set. One was rubber, plastic. One was disabled in the chamber, and then this one. Yeah,
I mean that's what you do with a lot of props.
Why even have one that's? I mean, why do they?
Well, because you still have to have one that functions, because the way a blank works is there's no bullet in it. It's just a crimped over shell, and it's just a lot of powder.
From what I understand, you can do it where you don't need a functioning one. You can just add the sounds later in post-production. And for safety's sake, you don't need one. It's operational. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you could. I mean, that's a lot. I'm not saying it's a lot of work, but I mean, to put muzzle flashes, put sounds in. And I think maybe, I mean, I'm not even going to sit here and say I'm an actor. Kind of.
No, but you don't.
But I'm saying I've been on sets of things where we've used guns, and I'm like, actually, I'm the one who would usually supply a lot of the guns for some of my buddies' music videos and shit. And I'm like, obviously they're like airsoft guns. They're not.
Mhm.
There's nothing in them, but they make a click. There's there's an audible sound, so it's also just for your sound person where something has to go, or where to time it out. Maybe that's why, because like then something's working. Like that's when you want to have your shot go off, or that's when whatever. It helps. It probably helps the effects guys out in the long run.
Just isn't the risk of something like this happening not worth it?
Yeah, I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Is first of all, how you think with precautions, this technically should not happen. Frank, it's like there's no way this kind of thing should happen if you follow the rules of safe gun handling. There's no way.
Practicing. Why were they aiming at each other?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, this is a 45 slug. It was no small bullet. This wasn't like a 22. It was like, it was big enough to go through two people. And I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid and ignorant about this, but I just don't understand how this could happen today.
Well, that's what I'm saying too. I don't get it, because they make the guns to be able to, like I said, that kind of thing would happen. Like, God forbid it. You think somebody? I don't know how props departments work. Like I said, I know there'd be 3 different versions of your gun. You got your close up. You got your one that's probably metal. It's probably pretty well.
Isn't there an officer? It's not about props. It's the arms officer or armor or someone.
Armor, yeah. Like I said, there's someone on props and there's someone on armor that would be in charge of something like this. And there are people that make stuff for movies, or they have stuff that they give them for it. Whether it's a period piece, whether it's a fucking sci-fi movie, whatever you got. There's someone who is in charge of this kind of thing.
Huh?
So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to say it's Alec Baldwin's fault. He didn't bring a fucking live round, put it in a gun, and fucking end up shooting this woman and injuring someone else. It seems like a freak accident, but I'm like, this blame has to come down to someone somewhere.
Well, from what I heard, and Frank, you'll probably correct me, Alec Baldwin should have checked the gun himself instead of just hearing the word cold and thinking everything's fine.
There's a couple different ways to look at that. I don't think that's entirely wrong. But that's something that people do when they have a working knowledge of firearms. Like, I am a gun owner, just like you are. So you and I, if somebody hands us a gun, one of the first things that you and I are going to do as people who are familiar with firearms is we will probably check to see if the gun's loaded, if the safety's on, things like that. I don't know what Alec Baldwin's proficiency with firearms is. I don't know if he knows anything other than I use them in movies. For all I know, he's never fired a gun in real life. I know he's not. I know he's very anti-gun. He's come out after things like the Parkland shooting and other things, and has said, ban all guns, things like that. So I'm assuming he's not a big gun guy. An assumption to be made on my part. I don't know that for sure. Maybe he owns a couple of guns that he keeps around for hunting or target shooting or whatever. I don't know that. But ultimately, I don't think he is going to be criminally responsible. And here's why.
Right. But what about the producer angle, though? Because
that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at. On a movie set, everybody's got their parts to play, their roles. Not just the actors, but the people behind the scene. Now, the armor, what they are supposed to do, and one of the reasons you see a lot of armors, they have military or police backgrounds, decades worth of experience handling firearms. The girl who was the armorer on this picture, this was her second job. Yes, she is the daughter of a well-known Hollywood armorer who has...
That's not experience.
That's not experience, I know, but you gotta get experience somehow. And thank you, really fabulous. He chimes in and says, I've always loved Baldwin's Trump impersonations. They are very funny, I must say. And now I love him even more, but above all, I love the sexiest crew on YouTube. Big Sexy Frank, Mr. The Harsh Truth, the beautiful goddess Cora, and the irresistibly delicious Jeremy. Uh-oh.
Ooh.
It's the Loki outfit, isn't it?
You do look pretty sexy in that Loki costume, I gotta say. But everybody's got their role to play, and thank you again, very fabulous, really fabulous for that. We all know who that is. But we all have our roles to play, and her role was to make sure that this gun, A, had the proper ammunition loaded into it, the blanks, the squibs, the dummy bullets, whatever it might be, and that these weapons were not being handed to the actors unless they were 100% ready. The assistant director, who's got a little bit of a history of his own, I might add, he did not check this weapon. He just grabs it, gives it to Alec Baldwin, and says the words. Apparently, if you believe Alec Baldwin, and I don't think there's a reason not to believe him when he says this, he handed him the firearm and said, "It's a cold gun." That term meaning that gun is not dangerous. There is no live ammunition in it.
Shouldn't he only say that if he himself checked it?
Again, that's one of the things that happens way before Baldwin ever gets his hand on this firearm.
Shouldn't the person saying it to him personally have checked it?
I agree.
Rather than saying, "Oh yeah."
This guy is proven to be an idiot. He's had problems on set before. He's had complaints filed against him. He's even had sexual harassment complaints against him on other productions. So
he also said this was a producer, right? Like, he's not the armor himself. Again, it's not necessarily
the director.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not like it's his
Alec
job to
Baldwin
check the gun either.
Technically a producer on it, and that's why legally he's going to be held responsible.
Alec Baldwin is part of the he is a part owner of the production company, yes. So that's why I think that he's probably going to be held. He's not going to be held criminally liable. I don't think. I think they said
civil negligence is what they called it.
Civilly, I think he's probably going to end up catching a case. It's not too dissimilar from what happened with O.J. Simpson. He was found not guilty in criminal court, but in the civil court, they ruled against him, and he had to pay the family of the people all this money. So I think you're going to see something similar here as well. But
agreed.
But I mean, this whole thing is just stupid. I mean, for one. Look, this was not a big budget thing. This is why they didn't have the girl's dad as the armor. He was probably more expensive. I think the total budget for this movie was like $7 million. It was probably.
And didn't you hear what they did to the crew? They put them up in hotels over an hour away, and the camera crew walked out that day. They had to hire a new camera crew. Everything was in shambles, and they're doing this shit.
Oh yeah, this entire movie was a clusterfuck. I mean, how I don't know how this thing.
You could have run this amazingly in comparison.
A drunken blind monkey with one arm and
TCS
no
Raw
legs
could have done it better with the Rose together with no help.
Probably, but here's one of the things that gets me is Alan Chaney, who is one of the people, I don't know, one of the producers, I think, is in charge of this movie. He said, Rust is a union-certified production, which I think in the beginning it probably was, in good standing with all of the major production unions and guilds, including IATSE, the Teamsters, the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, and the DGA, the Directors Guild of America. Then why in the hell did the day before, or the day of this accident, everybody walk off the fucking set? There was obviously not good standing there. There was obviously something.
Supposedly, they were mad that they had to. It was going to take an hour to get to and from where they were sleeping because they couldn't find a cheaper place to stay nearby. And after long days on the set, they just wanted to go pass out nearby.
Well, for that, here's the thing: is I've never been on a set that is out in the middle of nowhere. So maybe an hour away was one of the closest places they could find because they're out in the middle of the desert, New Mexico.
No.
So I don't know. I don't know. I will defend the production company on this. That might just be the closest place they could find that was within their budget.
Couldn't they put tents up or something?
They could, but that would almost be more expensive than just getting hotel rooms. Because it's not cheap to drag a bunch of equipment and everything out to the desert and set it all up. I mean, that alone can take millions of dollars, depending on how big the production is. So I'm sure the bean counters actually went through all this when they were budgeting this movie out, and they decided that the hotel was going to be cheaper than putting up a bunch of trailers or a bunch of air-conditioned tents. I'm sure they probably did this. Now, whether I agree or disagree with them, I don't know, because I don't have the information they had when they were making this decision. But I don't know. It could be a couple of different things. But and thank you again, Really Mysterious, for the donation. Yeah, you did. Did you pass 6 for the monthly lead? Actually, you may have passed 6, but you did not pass Sith Negan. So, Sith Negan right now, I think, has got the lead for the month. But I don't know how they decided to do the hotel instead of something on site. One of my problems with this whole thing is it seemed like from the beginning of this production, nobody was using their fucking brains. I don't see any reason to have live ammunition on this particular set. Now, there are times when you're filming a movie, and you mentioned it earlier. Why don't you put all this stuff in post? Well, for one, it's expensive. It's actually practical effects are generally cheaper. That's why you would have some movies, like there are some war movies where they will actually film a helicopter with a minigun lighting up this Jeep or this tank with real rounds. It's something that happens on a very controlled set with very highly trained people who know how to... The helicopter pilot is trained. The guy handling the minigun is trained. There is nobody anywhere near the target that's being shot. All this stuff is done practically, but done very, very safely. So you can get scenes shot like that for like I don't know, Platoon or something like that. You can see some scenes like that are shot with live ammo. But on this particular set, it doesn't seem like live ammo was necessary. The only thing I've heard that they needed live ammo for was they were outside pinging targets off to the side in between takes. That
shouldn't have been doing that.
Does not mean you need live ammo. If you're fucking around like that, then no, you don't need to have live ammo on the set because that's asking.
Or then get a fucking like BB gun.
But even though, dude, you're in New Mexico, across Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and like getting into like Southern California and like the deserty areas. You can't go 5 feet without hitting a damn shooting range. Why do you need to set up an on-site shooting range? You're in New Mexico, for crying out loud. That's a place... I don't think they have open carry there. I don't think they're as open with carrying a gun as places like Texas are. But it's like... This is one of the areas of the country where people used to walk around with 6-shooter strapped to their damn hip. I mean, gun culture is widely accepted there. Maybe not as much as other places, but... You can go around there and find a million places to shoot out in the middle of nowhere. You don't need to have a gun. You don't need to have an impromptu firing range set up on your set. That makes no sense to me. Because to me, having live rounds on set, if you don't absolutely need them for filming, is just one of those things that a skilled armor, or anybody really with 2 brain cells rubbed together in their fucking head, would say, you know what, maybe I just don't want to have these things on set because I don't want there to be some kind of a mix-up.
Couldn't they have gone to a gun range prior to filming?
I don't know, they might have. I mean, people who aren't very proficient with firearms who at least want to look like they know what they're doing when they're in front of a camera might go to a gun range. I mean, I wouldn't want to get into a gunfight with Keanu Reeves. I mean, you've probably seen some of the training videos he's done for John Wick. Yeah, just learning how to hold a gun and stuff is one thing, but why would you even have those on set if there isn't a scene where live rounds are called for? And I can't imagine there was anything in this movie where live rounds are called for. Also, the Rose said something I want to discuss real quick. He saw in the news a couple of days ago that there have been 194 gun-related accidents in movie filming since Brandon Lee with 43 deaths. I can call bullshit on that right now. I've already looked at 2 or 3 different places.
That's a big number.
For one, I don't think that number's right. I don't think either of those numbers are right. Now, gun-related incidents, I don't know, define gun-related incident, because sometimes when people report these numbers, they kind of pick some of these numbers out of air and try to beef them up to make their argument look good. I don't know about 194. The 43 deaths, I'm calling bullshit right now. If there was even 1 death on a movie set related to firearms, that shit would have been all over the news, and it's not like it's something that's going to get buried. That is going to be, I mean, look at the news that this has made. Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously, look at the news that this story has made. If there was going to be a death on set at all since Brandon Lee's accident in 1990, whatever, 1993, 94, whatever it was. But if there had been a death since then, it would have been all over the news. So I don't think that's accurate. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts now that I've been bloviating for a solid 25 minutes on this thing?
Like I said, there's a proper way to control something like this, and like you said, I made the same point. Like practical effects kind of make more sense, but like I said in my previous point, there's a way to properly control this kind of thing. Where honestly, I don't know why you'd even need to have live ammunition for anything that has to do with this movie for any reason. I someone mentioned to me, I don't know who else it was, he said like someone else died from, like it was blanks, he put a blank up to his head, pulled the trigger, and he fucking died. I'm like, well, yeah, there's still pressure, and there's still a bunch of bullshit that comes out of that gun, and that could fuck you up. Like, yeah, it's still, it's not an actual bullet going through your fucking brain, but, still got powder burning, and you got a lot of pressure and shit coming out of the barrel. But it's, I don't know. It's really wild. You'd think after something like that, like I said, that happened in the Crow, there'd be some sort of way of making sure that doesn't happen. I mean, I know you could be, it could be modern guns. I know in this set, there's no like quote modern guns. It's probably like a single action revolver. You know, it's a Western, right? So I don't know if that really changes the prospect of how that works because that's a revolver as opposed to a semi-auto like pistol. However, I mean, you can do something with the cylinders. You can plug the cylinders up. You could do, you can still plug the barrel up. You could do all kinds of shit. Because we have a cap gun in a Honda K, for fuck's sake. It actually doesn't work now. But a little blank, just a little small revolver. It still has shit that comes out the side of it, so you gotta be careful. But the barrel's plugged up, and it's just little itty bitty caps. I'm like, yeah, it's not anything wild. It's just noise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and another thing that people got to remember is everybody. Oh, I've heard people say over the years that flying is dangerous. It really isn't. It's actually statistically the safest way to travel. The problem with flying is that when something does go wrong, or go tragically wrong, it goes wrong at a big scale. So you're not looking at 1 or 2 people dying. You're sometimes looking at 100 or more people dying when a plane crashes. So it's the same thing with a movie set. I want you guys to think about this for a minute. Movie sets are terribly dangerous places. I know that nobody realizes it, but they are terribly dangerous places. Think about being on a soundstage, filming something as simple as a scene of dialogue where you're sitting there on the couch talking to somebody. You're not just in a room with some soft lights like I have. You can have lights above you, a bank of probably 10 of them that weigh 500 pounds each. There are wires and cables running everywhere. There's thousands of volts running everywhere. Movie sets are inherently dangerous places. The reason why we don't hear about this stuff, about accidents happening more often, is because such stringent safety measures are in place for most movies. This movie, what led to this particular incident is the fact that the people that were in charge in key places, the director, the assistant director, and the armorer specifically, were not paying attention to those basic needs that need to be met to ensure people's safety. That's why this happened.
I think after this, there's going to be some regulatory stuff done so that the movie industry doesn't have control anymore, and they're going to have state people come in and be responsible. And I'm not against it. I think a state
representative has already introduced a bill trying to get all working firearms removed from movie sets.
I don't think they should be removed. I just think they need to have a state armor appointed who's actually trained and isn't paid by production company, who's not biased, and who's just going to hold them accountable to the rules. What do you think of that type of regulation?
I don't know. I'm generally not for a lot of regulation, but
this is just one tiny aspect. I mean,
it wouldn't.
Or what if they made people get certified? They had to be certified by some type of state armor program and be licensed like a tradesman.
Well, a lot of these guys have gotten the best training you can get. Like I said, they're all military.
You know what I mean, though? But actually be held accountable.
Oh, but they are. Look, believe
girl's
me,
gonna get this girl who fucked up is gonna get away with it. She's gonna get away with it.
No, someone's getting held
accountable.
accountable.
Fuck up led to someone's death.
That's actually one of the things that has amazed a lot of people about the Brandon Lee incident is that nobody was really held accountable for that one. I think they ended up agreeing to some kind of settlement with Brandon Lee's family, with his fiancée and his mother, but I don't think there were ever any criminal charges filed, which is terrible. Which they absolutely should have been, because the armorer in that case failed too. But I mean, this armorer and this assistant director were so. I mean, I don't think they did it on purpose, but I think
the thing is, their ignorance led to someone's death, possibly 2 people's death, and it could have been worse.
It could have been, yeah. I don't know the right answer to this. I think what's probably going to end up happening is for at least the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot more, especially smaller productions. Maybe go ahead and put stuff in post-production, use the rubber guns instead of real ones. You may see a bigger market for some of these specially made guns like you were mentioning earlier. that that they don't actually have a full barrel. They're just ported to look like they have that they're a real
taking working guns and just disable the firing pin.
Yeah.
Version.
But I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can approach this, but I don't know. Again, I think people need to understand that there are a lot of inherent dangers that happen in filmmaking, and the fact that we don't hear about a lot more people getting killed on film sets is actually pretty miraculous. It's like I actually pulled up a list here. This was on Deadline.com. Cinematography is the deadliest job in Hollywood. The death of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins puts spotlight on safety for camera crews. And it's got, no shit, a list that is 4 pages long. Going back to... Well, it actually goes back to early Hollywood. I mean, it goes back to like 1931. But there are some scaringly recent things where the cinematographer or somebody on the camera crew has been killed. There was one in 2013. The cameraman and 2 others were killed in northern Los Angeles County when their helicopter crashed while filming an untitled military-themed reality show for the Discovery Channel. That didn't make the news. 2011, a cameraman, Greg Jacobson, was killed in a helicopter crash in Pennsylvania while shooting footage for G4's Campus PD for their digital TV channel. I don't think that ever made... I don't think that show ever actually made the screen anyway. 2006, a cameraman was killed by filming a parade scene for the film The Final Season when the helicopter he was riding in hit a power line and crashed in an Iowa cornfield. One of the guys that made the Blair Witch Project, actually. I mean, a good month to go watch that movie, the original Blair Witch Project. Cinematographer Neil Fredericks was killed in a plane crash in the waters off the Florida Keys while filming Crossbones, a low-budget horror film. The film's director, pilot, and 2 other crew members managed to escape the wreckage, but Fredericks could not free himself and drowned. 1997, 1986, 1981, 1980, another one 1980, 1967. Again, this one's got, let's see, the first one it's got on here was 1928. A cameraman and pilot were killed on the set of a movie called The Aviator when their plane crashed while scouting locations for a scene in which a forced landing was to be filmed later that day. Ironically enough. I mean, dude, film sets are dangerous places. And I'll put a link to this in the description so you guys can go read it as well. But, film sets are very, very dangerous places. And how many movies get filmed a year? How many days?
And don't forget TV shows.
And TV shows.
TV shows count.
How many
documentaries?
How many filming projects go on over the course of a year? I mean, to hell with how many are actually released over a course of a year. How many are filmed over a course of a year? Because there's a lot of shit that gets filmed and never sees the light of day. A lot of pilots, a lot of independent films that don't get picked up, things like that. So the fact that it was Brandon Lee, and then we went for this long time, and then we got to this point. I mean, it's tragic. I'm not saying it's a small thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing at all. But the fact that we've managed to go this many years means that when you have good people doing their job on a movie set, you greatly mitigate the risk for something like this happening. Which brings me back to Rust. People who were not paying attention to what the fuck they were doing. They were not doing things the right way. This one girl who was severely inexperienced, and I'll read the donation here in just a second. Thank you very much. Really big shout out. But these inexperienced people, it was just a confluence of terrible decision making that led to this terrible tragedy. You need to have... Now, I would be all for saying that you are not allowed to be the main armor on a set unless you have 10 years experience or X amount of years of experience.
What if they had to go through some type of program, like a certification, like a 6-week thing with the state government somewhere?
That wouldn't bother me so much, but again, you're talking about people who already have decades of firearm experience. They know how to handle
I still
weapons.
think they need some type of regulation that they're not going to do in-house in Hollywood. They need some type of government oversight on this after this, period.
Well, in California, that's the kind of thing they love, so I mean, maybe that's something that's coming up. I mean, they love the government.
I'm not saying they should only let people who are employed by the state, but they need to at least offer some type of training program and certification.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't yet know what is going to come of all this. Because there's still so... I mean, for one, we still don't exactly know everything that was involved in this particular case. There's some things I'm sure they're not going to say until the investigation is complete. There are some things I'm sure they're not going to say until the the legalities have all played themselves out, because yes, somebody is going to be responsible for this. Thank you, really big shout out, by the way. He said, shout out to my buddies JCS Foot Rub, Randy Viper, Six Firebird, The Rose, and the birthday boy Mikkel. And what the hell, throw Drew in as well. Screw Drew. To hell with Drew. He's got his own show. But, no, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Really big shout out. Thanks for supporting the channel. But, yeah, it's... Once all this stuff comes out, we're going to have to break it all down and analyze it and kind of go from there. I think for right now, the focus needs to be on, the loss of Helena Hutchins, and, obviously the thoughts need to be with her family through this tough time. And after all is said and done, let's take all the information, the data that we've gathered, and let's make our decision from the most informed place we can. Now, all the things you brought up, they could be wonderful avenues to explore after we have all the information.
Okay.
But I think we should have the information first. What I think we're going to end up seeing is we're going to end up seeing a lot more CGI used for the next couple of years, while people are trying to figure out exactly how, while the industry figures out how to move forward from this. But the reality is, there's always going to be a need for practical effects in movies, and sometimes those practical effects are going to involve firearms and live rounds. But you have to make sure that there's going to be certain people on set who are responsible and will not let a gun out of their sight until they have gone through the proper safety measures to make sure that's a safe firearm, and working in the way that it needs to work for the scene, that there's no danger involved. Because this is kind of similar to what happened to Brandon Lee. What happened in Brandon Lee's case is, I think a round from a dummy bullet had dislodged from the casing and was stuck in the barrel. So when they put a blank in there, not knowing the barrel was obstructed by this round, and so when the blank went off, it actually pushed the projectile that was in the barrel through, and it shot it like it would shoot a regular bullet, and that's what hit Brandon Lee, because the person on that set did not think to check the barrel and to make sure that there was
clean the gun between incidents,
or he just didn't check it for obstructions. But I mean, it's the same thing with this one. It's like one of my questions is, if you don't have any scenes that require live ammunition, like you're shooting a bottle off a ledge or whatever, why do you have live ammunition anywhere near here anyway? I don't mean. Thank you. Guns aren't toys. This is one of the things I explain to my sons regularly. Guns aren't toys. You don't play with them. They are very dangerous instruments if you do not handle them correctly. And if these guys were just out there pinging targets, and they were like, oh, whatever, and then one of them gets done, and there's a bullet left in the round, and he just throws it on the gun cart, that right there is where tragedy strikes. That's where the tragedy happens. Yeah. And then you've got this one girl who clearly, and we talked about it on Drew's show Sunday on Derailed, she's way more interested in being a TikTok model or doing whatever the fuck it is she's doing online than doing her actual job. So she was probably too busy taking selfies or, dancing to whatever stupid song on TikTok instead of checking this weapon and making sure that it wasn't dangerous. And then you got the assistant director, who's clearly a moron with a history of his own. He just walks over, grabs his Baldwin, and says, okay, point at the camera and shoot so we can get the shot, without thinking to himself, has this weapon been cleared by the armorer? Do I need to clear it? Is Alec Baldwin going to know? This guy doesn't know dick. So there's 100 different things that kind of come into play here, and they're eventually going to figure it out. It sounded to me from that press conference like the sheriff's department there had a handle on things. I agree. The district attorney, she obviously is not used to being in front of a camera.
I have some empathy for her, but she should. Here's something. There's a guy I watched on YouTube, and he was saying she literally had nothing to say and had no information about what was going on from the DA's office. She should have just had someone read a statement saying or have the sheriff's office say the DA's office has no comment, and until further information, the DA's office has nothing to offer you. Yeah, she should have just said nothing.
Yeah,
it was really poorly done.
Yeah, I agree. She was obviously a bit taken back by the lights and the microphones and the cameras.
I could tell by the way she was dressed. She was overdressed, like she was going to church for the photo for the yearbook for the church members, like perfectly styled with this big necklace. I'm like, what are you?
But hey, this is her 15 minutes of fame. It kind of all came upon her very suddenly. She probably wasn't expecting anything like this. So I give her a little bit of a A little bit of a flare.
I'm just saying she seemed like it was not. Yeah.
Yeah,
If she hadn't gone out there at least dressed somewhat professionally, y'all would still be bashing her like, why the fuck she go out there in a casual shirt and some suit pants? Like, fuck, you can't make anyone
fair
happy.
enough. I shouldn't be judging her for how she dressed, but I just.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to go out there in my Sunday best and all my jewelry from. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Nobody's going to be happy.
It just seemed like it was a lot of nervous awkwardness, and she didn't realize it came off as disrespectful. But...
Should also be... Go ahead.
People don't mean to do that. No, people don't mean to do that. It's like, I mean, like you said, she's nervous. Like, you know, you're not going to act in a way you'd think would make sense. You know, we're like, oh my God, why are they laughing? It's like, well, I mean, just like with the Haunted Cave, people laugh and they're like, why aren't they scared? I'm like, no, they're scared. Trust me, they're scared. It's a weird natural reaction to just laugh. If you're nervous, if you're fucking scared.
Some people it is. It really is. And
if you don't know what to do and your brain's trying to fire off like, all I need to do, you know, there's no real right way to do it, and it's going to seem weird to people. It's like, what would you do if you're up there in this kind of big situation? Everyone's looking at you in a situation this big, and you're, you know, that's when you get that's when you get that awkward boner in front of English class when I give a speech, because you know that never happened to anybody ever. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I just think that this whole situation is going to be a great conversation starter for gun safety for everybody. I mean, everybody should be more careful around firearms. This should be a lesson for everybody.
I think it also means that the people who don't like guns should at least be aware of how to handle them.
Yes,
because like I said,
exactly.
I don't know if Baldwin owns a gun. I don't know if he's ever handled a gun off a movie set.
Someone said that they had known that he had interacted with them on other movie sets, but they weren't sure about his personal use. He's at least been around another armor before.
Yeah. But it should also be noted that and this kind of, I didn't think they were going to finish making this movie to begin with once the news came out, but, or how serious the situation was, how that news came out. But it's looking like it's definitely not going to finish now, because the Rush producers have started bankruptcy proceedings on the film. Let's see. Who believes that Rust, the Alec Baldwin movie that suspended production a week ago after the shooting, will eventually be completed and released? This question isn't the most important one following the accidental tragedy, yet it doesn't form the calculus on what's to come. Most observers may not care about the millions of dollars put into this indie film. Very few are considering what it would be like for anyone in the cast and crew to get back on set and finish this Western. That was only about halfway through production when the accident occurred. But they have hired Brandon Fox and Jenner and Block to handle an investigation. This is all going to end up leading to a bankruptcy. Let's see. Rust, by the way, is the name of the character that Baldwin was playing in the movie. His last name is Rust, and the plot of the movie involves something about this guy going to get his grandson or his nephew after his mother was killed and he was stuck somewhere. That was the general plot of the movie. I forget exactly what it was, but I know I did read it. But and his name is Samuel Rust or something like that. So that's why the name of the movie is Rust. But thank you. Really sorry for interrupting. He said special shout out to Sith Negan for being a big supporter of the community with a heart bigger than his wallet. I raise my glass to you. We raise our glass to him as well. He has been very supportive of so many people around this community. We very much appreciate it. But yeah, this movie is not going to ever get finished. I don't think it should, to be perfectly honest. I think this movie cost a life. It's like, stop this movie. We don't need to finish filming this movie. I don't think you can even make the excuse of like finishing it in her name. I don't even think you could do that. I think you just got to go ahead and walk away from this thing. But like I said, movie sets are inherently dangerous places. Think about it. I mean, stunt. Who is it? On Deadpool 2, a stunt person died filming a stunt. Zazie Beetz' stunt double was killed trying to perform a motorcycle stunt. On one of the Transformers movies, I forget which one, there was an extra who was there on set and a cable from some kind of rigging snapped and hit her in the head and left her with permanent brain damage. I mean, that's like I said, you think you're just on a movie set and you're sitting there in front of a camera. There's a lot going on. There's have you gotten a good look at these camera trucks? Those things are built like damn tanks. They're regular trucks that have these giant frames built around them to hold up these, 5, 6, 700-pound cameras. And you take a turn going a little too hard, and that thing flips over, and you've got some bad things happening. Because there's a lot of times, behind the scenes pictures, you can see these things. These guys are sitting on seats that are harnessed to the side of a truck with the camera trying to get this shot. And if that thing rolls, it rolls on them. There is no frame really that protects them. It rolls on top of them in the camera, and that's game over, kids. So yeah, I mean, the movie sets are inherently dangerous places. The fact that we don't have deaths on movie sets on a regular basis is actually kind of miraculous. That's one of the reasons why I have trouble believing what Rose put in the chat earlier about how 40-something people have died in the last 20 years since Brandon.
You mean incidents where there was like something went wrong with something in general? It wasn't necessarily a death or someone getting shot.
I'm sure there's probably been accidents, but I mean, there's accidents on construction sites. There's accidents at people at regular jobs. I mean, people slip and fall on the job all the time. Does that ever get reported in the news? I mean, so I'm sure there's little things. You bump something. Maybe you get your finger caught in something and it breaks your finger. Something small, but I mean, nothing. No deaths. Certainly nothing significant enough to ever make news outside of the set. But the fact that we don't have more and more, dangerous situations happen on movie sets is kind of miraculous. So, I mean, think of it that way. But yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to wait for all the information to come out. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait for all the information to come out on this before we can really make any final determinations. But everything you suggest about how Hollywood should react to this thing, I mean, it's all valid, but again, we got to wait until all this comes out.
I really don't see why it would be so hard for them to have someone who is either a state employee be the armor, and they just literally say, okay, we need someone for this, and they assign someone, and they come out and they do it, and they, or they make someone go through training and require them to license the actual fake weapons with the state, have them be inspected by a state regulator before they go on set.
That could be something that happens.
Then be open to random inspections, scheduled or not, to come see what kind of ammunition is on set. Is this the actual registered fake gun that's supposed to be here? Do you have ones that are unregistered? If they did that, this would be fine. I mean, I know people don't like a lot of overregulation, but this is something that I think would actually be suitable. So, see.
Yeah, those are all questions that are going to have to be asked in the coming months as we kind of get past all this and figure out the exact details of what happened. But anyway, Jeremy, do you have any final thoughts on what we know right now about the whole Baldwin shooting incident?
Yeah.
A man, a few words. Cora, any quick final thoughts from you?
It's great to be back, and I'm looking forward to seeing Dune this weekend.
It's a good movie. I think you're going to like it. Before we go, though, I know one of the movies that you were really badly wanting to talk about was James Bond. You did get a chance to see that one, right?
Oh, I've had a lot of stuff going on. I have not.
Well, when you get a chance to see that, we'll let you have a few minutes to talk about it, because I very much like the James Bond film. We enjoyed doing that review. And I think you're going to kick out of that movie. Very, very emotional, wonderful finale.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it more than you know, but life has just been a lot. So, sometimes you got to just pick and choose. So
I understand. I agree. But anyway, that's pretty much all we've got for you guys tonight. I want to thank Jeremy, of course, for being around, as he always is. Where can the folks find you on the internet?
Like I always say, you can come abuse me on Twitter, or you can watch me suck at games on Twitch.
And Lady Cora, where can the folks find you on YouTube?
Very few places, so here next Thursday. Let's just go with that.
Here next Thursday, and I have no idea what kind of review we're going to have for next Thursday. I have not looked at the release schedule, but if we don't have a review of some big movie, I'm sure we'll have plenty of interesting entertainment news to talk about. As far as I'm concerned, I want to say thank you very much, by the way, I had a really big turnout for a gaming stream the other night, which was a real shock. I just decided to go ahead and put some Call of Duty gaming on there just for shits and giggles to try to steal a few try to steal a few views, and we actually had like 6 people in there at one point watching me suck at Call of Duty. So thank you very much for all you guys that came in. As a matter of fact, 6 dropped his $5 tip on that stream, but I don't have my PlayStation hooked up to all this stuff where you can see donations. So thanks again to 6 for supporting the channel when I was playing Call of Duty very, very badly. And thanks to all of you guys for coming and hanging out with me and talking to me while I was doing a terrible job. I also did fix my microphone, by the way, for those of you who are wondering why it was so low during that stream. There was, for some reason in my settings, my microphone volume got turned way down on my PlayStation. So as much as I was yelling trying to get you guys to hear me, for some reason it was just turned all the way down. I figured that out and fixed it. But thanks to all of you guys for coming and hanging out. Really Mysterious, JCS Foot Rub, Jeremy was in on the call with us, of course. Let's see who else. All the people I knew before. TSS2, Rachel, Bullsey was in here for a little bit. Let's see, everybody else. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. The Rose, Michael Cloud. Thank you very much, guys, for coming in. Or Mikkel Cloud, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Michael. You even spell it funny, so it should be something that pops out. Firebird was in here for a minute. What's going on? My girlfriend Jennifer was in here for a minute. She's probably already asleep. And thanks all you guys for hanging out. We will see you guys next week. Adios.
Yeah.
Bye.
Remember.